If it's a toss-up between men and chocolate, bring on the chocolate. Mallory scrambled backward, or tried to anyway, but a big hand on her ankle held firm. The hand appeared to be attached to an even bigger body. Fear and panic bubbled in her throat, and she simply reacted, chucking Grace's phone at her captor's hooded head. It bounced off his cheek without much of a reaction, other than a grunt. The guy was sprawled flat on his back, half covered in snow. Still, holding her ankle in a vice-like grip, he shifted slightly and groaned. The sound didn't take her out of panic mode, but it did push another emotion to the surface: concern. Since he hadn't tried to hurt her, she leaned over him, brushing the snow away to get a better look. Not easy with the wind pummeling her, bringing more icy snow that slapped at her bare face. "Are you hurt?" she asked. He was non-responsive. His down parka was open, and he was wet and shivering. Pushing his dark brown hair from his forehead, she saw the first problem. He had a nasty gash over an eyebrow, which was bleeding profusely in a trickle down his temple and over his swollen eye. Not from where she'd hit him with the phone, thankfully, but from something much bigger and heavier. Probably part of the fallen tree. His eyes suddenly flew open, his gaze landing intense and unwavering on her. "It's okay," she said, trying to sound like she believed it. "It looks like you were hit by a large branch. You're going to need stitches, but for now I can—" Before she could finish the thought, she found herself rolled beneath what had to be 200 pounds of solid muscle, the entire length of her pressed ruthlessly hard into the snow, her hands yanked high over her head and pinned by his. He wasn't crushing her, nor was he hurting her, but his hold was shockingly effective. In less than 1 second, he'd immobilized her, shrink-wrapping her between the ground and his body. "Who the hell are you?" he asked, voice low and rough. It would have brought goosebumps to her flesh if she hadn't already been covered in them. "Mallory Quinn," she said, struggling to free herself. She'd have had better luck trying to move a slab of cement. Breathing hard, eyes dilated, clearly out of his mind, he leaned over her, the snow blowing around his head like some twisted paragon of a halo. "You have a head injury," she told him, using the brisk, no-nonsense, I'm-in-charge tone she saved for both the ER and her crazy siblings. "You're hypothermic." And he was getting a nice red spot on his cheek, which she suspected was courtesy of the phone she'd hurled at him. Best not to bother him with the reminder of that. "I can help you if you let me." He just stared down at her, not so much as blinking while the storm railed and rallied in strength around them. He wasn't fully conscious, that much was clear. Still, testosterone and dark edginess poured off him, emphasized by his brutal grip on her. Mallory was cataloging her options when the next gust hit hard enough to knock his hood back, and with a jolt, she recognized him. Mysterious cute guy. At least, that's how he was known around Lucky Harbor. He'd slipped into town 6 months ago without making a single effort to blend in. As a whole, Lucky Harbor wasn't used to that. Residents tended to consider it a God-given right to gossip and nose into people's business, and no one was exempt. All that was known about the man was that he was staying in a big rental house up on the bluffs. There'd been sightings of him at the Love Shack, the town's bar and grill, and also at the local gym, and filling up some classic muscle car at the gas station. But Mallory had only seen him once in the grocery store parking lot, with a bag in hand. Tall and broad-shouldered, he'd been facing his car, the muscles of his back straining his shirt as he reached into his pocket to retrieve his keys. He'd slid his long legs into his car and accelerated out of the lot as she caught a flash of dark Oakley's, a firm jaw, and grim mouth. A little frisson of female awareness had skittered up her spine that day, and even wet and cold and uncomfortable beneath him, she got another now. He felt much colder than she, making her realize she had no idea how long he'd been out here. He was probably concussed, but the head injury would be the least of his problems if she didn't get him warmed up and call for help. "Let's get you inside," she said, ceasing to struggle beneath him, hoping that might calm him down. No response, not even a twitch of a single muscle. "You have to let me up," she said. "I can help you if you let me up."